everybody. This is Chris Baker, the host of the podcast, Tell Me Your Story. And today's special guest to tell his story is Trey Keegan, right? Where'd you get married? You changed your last name now.
Yeah, it's 2022, man. We gotta do.
We're going to just do like how we always do. We're just going to jump into this and, start from the very beginning and just talk about your childhood. Where did it all start for you?
Absolutely. So I'm born to two college students, actually. My mom, Michelle, and my dad, Troy. They were juniors and sophomore when they had me. So I grew up in Toledo, Ohio for the first probably year or two of my life before they finally moved back home to Sandusky, where I finished growing up until I was, I think, 19 years old. Growing up was it's kind of different in Sandusky for me because my whole family was there. My grandparents, my great grandparents, all the way like 3 generations ago. So I ended up living with my grandparents for I think 3 years with my parents until they could buy their own house. So that was it's interesting when you have a big family like that. But unfortunately, my parents decided they wanted to split up when I was 9. So we kind of bounced house to house. I lived with my mom primarily with my younger sister until I was 15 when she passed away. And then moving in with my dad was that my parents were very cordial about it. They were able to get along. The timeshare was great. They never argued in front of us, never had any complaints, never talked crap about the other one. And that's a big thing that I see in today's world is the parents try to use the kids as leverage. And that was a big positive for parents' divorce. They were even supportive of their other partners. So that was a very big key to growing up in a successful household, in my opinion. A big part of my childhood obviously was sports. I've played baseball since the time I was 4.
Hey, hold on. Wait, before you jump into the sports, I kind of want to go back just a little bit. So you said it was kind of your parents were split, they were divorced. Was that kind of was it weird to you? Were they like dating other people? Did that like bother you at all?
So right away, I was 9 and 10 at the time, so it was kind of hard to understand exactly what happened. But once they kind of explained it, as I got older, it was really easy for me, I think, because I saw them both almost every day. One would pick me up for school, one would take me to school. Every other weekend would stay at the other one's house. So it was weird when they started dating, especially when my dad got re-engaged first and remarried by the time I was, I think, 11. It was a quick turnaround for him. He met my stepmom, and they're still together today. God, they've been together for, I'm 20, almost 29, so they've been together for like 18 years. So at that point, it was good to see my dad with someone steady instead of
bouncing around, going.
Yeah, not having to meet a whole bunch of new people, and it was cool that she was steady. As far as my mom goes, she actually got re-engaged. You went to Jackson. You went to Jackson Middle School, right?
Yep.
8th grade.
Yep.
She actually re-engaged to Principal Matheny at one point.
Really?
Yeah, I lived with him for I think 2 or 3 years.
Now the real question about that, was that kind of weird to you at all?
That was extremely weird because they split before I got to 8th grade. So, and another good thing about that is he's a great guy, and he never treated me any different because of the situation. He was very welcoming into his home, and then when I got to school there, even after they split, he never treated me any different. He was actually very friendly, very fair. No ill will there. I guess where my childhood took a bit of a twist was when my mom came out to me as gay when I was 13. So right after she split from him, she came out to me as gay, and that it didn't bother me any. It just didn't really.
You didn't know how to take it because you were still at a young
I just didn't know really what to do with it. Like it wasn't a bad thing. Like her girlfriend was great. She was super nice. I really enjoyed her company. She was a hairstylist, so if you ever remember my multitude of hair colors, that's why.
It all makes sense now.
It does. So yeah, we lived in the same house for, I think 6 years after all that happened, and I lived 5 doors down from my grandparents. So my childhood was never really, crazy per se,
No.
but it definitely had a few experiences here and there.
And you also got to talk when I mentioned that you're growing up in a time period where we didn't have cell phones.
Yeah. So I got my first cell phone. In 6th grade.
Yeah.
It was an Altel flip phone. It was white. I got 100 texts per month, and that was incoming and outgoing at the same time. So it wasn't like I could send 100 and get 100.
Yeah.
Free cell phone minutes after 9 during the week and only on weekends. That was back when we had house phones where we had to know each other's numbers by heart.
Yeah, everybody don't even know what a house phone is anymore.
No, I had a corded house phone at that.
I remember when we got the wireless phone that came in. The wireless house phone was the blessing until you got out of range.
Yeah, that was nice until they pick up the other cordless and listen to your conversation.
And then when the internet, once we got the internet coming in, we had to make sure nobody was on the phone.
AOL dial-up.
I need you to get off.
Like I kind of touched on earlier, though, with the other part of my childhood, which is why I was able to see my parents both at the same time so much, was sports, though. I played baseball from the time I was 4. I wrestled for the Sandusky mini program from kindergarten till 8th grade. Never played basketball or anything. I wasn't any good at that. But it just, it was just cool that the whole family was able to come out and support that. So then came high school, and my freshman year, our baseball team was supposed to be really good. And I ended up not making the varsity team. I ended up playing JV my freshman year behind my still best friend, Brady Smith, if you remember Brady.
Brady.
Yeah. He was a starting catcher as a freshman. And, that was kind of a wake up call. Like, hey, we kind of got to get better at this. So,
did you feel any type of way about that?
I felt a certain type of way about that. I ain't gonna lie about it. But I would never let that, that never really came between us any. It just made me kind of want to work harder. And he was the best pitcher on our team for a couple of years. Him and a couple of other guys like Brady, Nolan Berkey, and Espositos, and so it was like building the friendships there. I think that was key also to growing up. I mean, you and I played football together. In,
I think it was 7th grade.
It was 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. We were on the same middles or the 5th and 6th grade team together.
I was always gonna ask you, like, whatever happened? Did you just decide that you liked baseball more and wanted to focus on that more, or?
No, I was so scared of getting hit. I was so soft that I didn't want to play in 8th grade.
You're like, nope.
I will be so honest about that. I hated getting hit when I was in middle school. That I just didn't want to play anymore. So I played golf in high school instead.
See,
my dad still played fun.
Yeah, I'm glad that I asked you that question because, like, I was thinking, like, well, your dad did play, and he had like set records and stuff, and I was like, maybe it was too much for him to be in.
Yeah, no, he still has some of those records, and trust me, I still hear about it.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe he said, no, this ain't for me. I don't want to have to follow that.
That's literally what happened. It just wasn't for me, man. I didn't like. I've been honest about that from the get-go. I didn't want to run. I didn't want to get hit. I decided to play golf instead.
I think I actually remember hearing about that in 7th grade. Like you were afraid to get hit. I think like it's
Yeah.
coming back to me. I think I remember hearing about that.
Oh, 100%. I was always upfront and honest about that. I hated it. I get headaches. I remember Courtney Strickland, Pee Wee. We had met in the hole, and he ran me flat over. I had a headache for like 2 days, and that was the day I decided like next year I ain't playing.
I'm done.
Yeah, I learned. I just I knew better than that. But yeah, so then I got to high school, and that's when baseball really started taking over the life. I flew out to SoCal freshman year and played a travel tournament with Mike Drake and Xavier Turner out there for a SoCal team, and then sophomore year came and we won 3 straight division titles, and we were ranked at the top of the states, and really enjoyed playing for those years. And when I got recruited out of high school, I actually signed to Ohio Dominican University. Do you know what that is?
No.
What that is?
Nope.
Yeah, it's in Columbus, Ohio. It's a small D2 school there. It's
wait. You said okay. Yeah, I know where that is.
Yeah, you can walk the campus in probably 10 minutes. Like it's tiny. And went to my first semester there, and I was on the baseball team. I thought it was going to be the best experience, and got good grades, had good nightlife. I just didn't enjoy the atmosphere there. So I actually ended up leaving there, and anybody that goes to a school and doesn't enjoy it, I would highly recommend finding a school that you're going to enjoy, on a personal level, as opposed to what that school, like, just because enjoy yourself there, you're not gonna do well in school anyway. And that was something I found myself kind of struggling with. Is I wasn't enjoying myself, so I ended up leaving after the first semester. And I went and lived at home and worked at Cedar Point like every other kid our age. Did you ever work at Cedar Point?
Yep, that was actually my first job. I think I was 14 when I started there. Worked there first year.
I was 18.
Worked at a plate. If anybody's wondering that's watching, it was called the Transport Refreshments, and that don't even exist anymore. For what I know.
Yeah, no, I was a non-bonded police officer there, so I was basically a glorified security guard that said, "Hey, don't cut in line.
Don't do it." Just some kid.
Yeah, hey, you stop that yelling at little kids, So I ended up finding Bowling Green, the community college, the Firelands branch in Huron, and I did my second semester of college there, and just continued to work, and ended up signing to Bowling Green's main campus baseball team, where I went in with the probably biggest ego you could go in with, thinking I deserved to start right away and be the man on campus, and found out really quickly that wasn't going to happen. And
so you're saying you went in there kind of big-headed, huh? You're feeling good. You're like I'm the man.
My head was literally this big. Like I thought I was going to go in and be the starter day one behind the plate, and they had 2 junior catchers there that were established and really good, and I didn't care. And the coach looked at me and goes, "You're going to play third base." And I'm like, "You want to come again with that? Because I don't play third base." He said, "You're going to learn today."
Oh.
And the big thing I want people to take away from this is, just because you face adversity, it doesn't matter. You gotta keep grinding. I led the nation in errors for the first 6 weeks of the season at third base. I led the nation. Like, it was no small feat. I was bad. Like, I could not feel the ground ball at third base for the life of me. And I'm thankful to this day for Danny Schmitz not giving up on me and letting me catch eventually. But that year, I ended up throwing a bullpen because I was a pitcher there too, and I ended up having Tommy John. Are you familiar with all of Tommy John?
Yeah, you had the surgery done.
Yeah. So on my elbow, actually, right here, I tore my ulnar collateral ligament in half, and they had to take a piece out of my wrist and drill it into my elbow. And it's a 12-month minimum recovery if you ever want to be able to throw again.
And just talk about that for a minute. Kind of explain a little bit more to like what it was like just a recovery. Did you have a fear at all? Like, did you think that baseball was done for you?
April 16th, 2013, I had my Tommy John surgery. The next day, I thought I would never be able to straighten my arm again and throw a baseball. So the major trauma that you go through when they do it is they lock you in a brace at 90 degrees. And every week you're allowed to get 10 degrees of motion. But every day, because I was at my school, our athletic trainers would take my brace off, unwrap it, clean it, and then they would hand me a 1 pound weight. I mean, 1 pound. My 7-month-old daughter could pick that up. I couldn't pick it up with my wrist or my arm.
How did you feel mentally? How did you feel like in that moment, just knowing that you just couldn't do it? Did it bother you a lot?
I was broken mentally at that point. My head wasn't there anymore. I was thinking about what I was going to do with the rest of my life if I could never do this. If I couldn't come back from this, I was worried. The biggest problem I think that I faced though is that one of the guys on the team had already had Tommy John, and he never recovered. He ended up having to have a second one, and he could never throw again. And in the back of my mind, I thought, hey, that's probably going to be me. I'm probably not going to be able to throw. Like, what if it doesn't come back? And I was worried. And my training staff at BG was a godsend. I mean, every day they were super encouraging. They picked me up every day. They were, hey, like, we're going to be able to get through this. We're going to do this. And they would stretching. It was the worst. You know how when you step on bubble wrap, it makes that real loud, like popping noise?
Oh, yeah.
So they would take it. It looked like a metal boomerang, and they would take cocoa butter, put it over top of my. Once I got the stitches out, they would put that over top of my scar, and they would scrape it as hard as they could, and it sounded like bubble wrap going off. It was all the scar tissue in my elbow.
Oh man.
And they don't prepare you for the pain afterwards. They tell you, hey, you're going to have this surgery in a couple months. You're going to rehab. And then a couple months after that, you're going to start your throwing program. They don't tell you the in between, like, hey, this is going to be the worst pain of your life for like multiple minutes at a time. So then after the first 6 months of not being, you ever tried to brush your teeth with your opposite hand?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I recommend everybody to try to do the stuff they do with their dominant hand with their other hand, just to see what it's like.
Well, what's kind of crazy about it is that's how I always have been like that. I've always trained myself, like just in case, like if my arm were to break or something, I was like, okay, let me see if I can do this, and then I always train myself to do the opposite, like foot-wise, same.
Yeah, it's a whole different experience. Like I couldn't imagine being able to see my whole life and then gradually lose my vision and go blind.
Yeah.
Because you get so accustomed to doing something with, your eyes, your one arm, your feet, like normal stuff, just to see what it can be taken away and how quick it can be taken away is, it was just an insane experience. So the first day I got to throw again, I was 10 feet away from my trainer, and he threw it to me, and I picked my arm up to throw, and my body almost didn't remember like the correct motion.
What?
because my elbow didn't want to extend the way it was supposed to.
Because it was so used to being like that now, it wasn't it?
It was so bent on being locked like that it didn't want to get up to the throw motion. And when you throw it for the first time, you're so nervous you're going to hear that pop again.
Yeah.
Because when it happens, you can hear it. Like people, 15 feet away can hear it. It's loud. It's a traumatizing thing. And being able to think about it. So you throw for the next couple months, eventually working your way back to about 120 feet at like 20 throws. And then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, when you hit now, you have to wear this. I had to wear a brace, and it was about probably 8 inches long that covered me from my forearm up to my bicep. And just like the brace that was locked, it had the same mechanics in its inside of it. So when you hit, your elbow wouldn't extend all the way. So then you had to learn to hit a new way as well. And it was
that definitely had to be like a challenge. Just, I mean, have to reteach yourself the game that because like you said, you've been playing since you were 4, and then have to relearn how to do it all.
You have to relearn it at a juvenile basis.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like mentally, you're thinking like, "Oh, I got this. This ain't nothing." But your body's like, "No, you don't. No, you don't."
Yeah, it's like getting old. It's like your mind thinks you can do it. Your body's like, "Not today, son."
Nope, not happening, buddy.
Yeah. So went into the next year. I finished my rehab a couple months early. Luckily, I was, like I said, my training staff at BG they were godsend. They worked so hard and got me prepared for opening game. But those 2 catchers were still there. So again, I'm sitting here thinking like, I'm back. Here I am again, sitting the bench, which is somewhere I had never been before. That was not somewhere I was comfortable being.
Yeah.
And that was a big motivator for the next year. So we finished that year. I think I played in like 15 of the 50 games, and was nothing special. I didn't hit super great, didn't throw super great. I was mediocre at best. I was coming off that injury, and people were like, "Oh, don't worry about it. You're coming off that injury." Well, that's not something that I really wanted to give the excuse of. So that next summer, I put on 20 pounds of nothing but weight room time. I mean, over the summer, I stayed in Bowling Green. I lived in my apartment. The football training staff was still there because football is obviously going in the summer. So I spent every day there. I was there 5 to 6 days a week. I was broke. I was eating. I ate hot dogs and popcorn probably every day. I mean, it was cheap. It was inexpensive. I'm living on a college kid salary at the time. I wasn't working.
Well, that answers my question too. I was being like you're a college athlete and everything. I wonder if they had you on a special diet or anything.
So, you would think
it would make sense.
Once you go to the bigger schools, some of them give you those meal plans and stuff like that. But unless at Bowling Green, unless you were severely overweight or needed to gain weight, they didn't really mess with your diet any. They recommended eat your vegetables, eat your fruits, stay healthy, drink your water, that good stuff, take your proteins. But it wasn't like, hey, you need to eat X amount of this, and this to stay in shape. So
I really feel like, honestly, like they should do that at every level, though. They should be training the athletes to eat a certain way. That way they're not drinking pop and eating all this junk food. And
well, the biggest part about that is if they would teach them that during high school or during college, and not everybody plays at the next level. Not everybody goes pro. Not everybody does this stuff. You have to live a life now in the real world with no real idea of what your body's going to be like, because you're not running every single day. You're not lifting every single day. You're not, burning all those calories, burning all that energy at practice, at games. And then you get out and live a normal life. And you're like, man, I can sit on my couch. I don't have practice today. I can sit on my couch, play a video game, and eat this cake. Like, I've gained 30 pounds since I stopped playing. And it's not all good weight. I mean, it's not all bad weight, but it's not. It shows up in places it shouldn't.
Yeah, you're just saying I'm being healthy, eating good.
Yeah, so, that summer, man, I was, those big 2 gallons of High C, like the bright blue ones and the red.
Yeah.
My diet consisted of the hot dogs, the popcorn, that to drink with water, and some rice and chicken every now and then. And that was an entire summer.
That was your diet?
Yeah, it was brutal. I mean, I can't believe that I stayed skinny.
Yeah, I could imagine that it got old quick.
It did. It was awful. I mean, I laid on my couch, went to work out, went right back to my couch, went out to drink with my friends. But the main part of that is my friends that lived there were also baseball players. So I could lift with them, I could throw with them, I could take BP, I could do all that stuff that summer. And I think that was a big advantage going into my quote unquote senior year, even though I was a sophomore because of red shirts and such. And that next year, the coach told me in the fall, you're going to be the catcher this year unless you decide to lose it. And I caught 53 of the 54 games, I think, something close to that. Started behind the plate.
Hey.
I was second in the voting for catcher of the year nationally in Division I. Ended up getting drafted that year by the Braves in the 14th round. Pick 420. Went and spent 2 years in Danville, Virginia, which is, if you don't know where it is, it's in the middle of nowhere on the border of North Carolina and Virginia.
Hold on, just go back just a little bit. So you got drafted. Talk about just what that day was like. Kind of give us a feel what it was like just being, waiting there to get drafted.
So the lead up to it was the most stressful thing I've ever experienced in my life. Towards the end of the year, I was still playing good, and up in the stands, you would see 10, 15 guys with cameras and timers and all this stuff, like staring at you while you're trying to hit, while you're trying to make, play, while you're catching, while you're doing this stuff. And like all that pressure, because they were there to watch 2 people, and it was me and the shortstop or whoever we were playing. And the stress in your mind, like, hey, I can't mess up. Like, if I mess up, I could lose my chance. And, it was just, the stress was unbelievable, but it was also a super cool experience knowing that I have a chance to live out my dream. So come June, the first week of June, I had got a call from the Red Sox, and they met me at Starbucks, and I had to take this quiz. And, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to take this quiz. It's going to be about baseball knowledge. It's going to be super easy. I can do this. Man, I got there, and he handed me this iPad and said, all right, this is a reactionary thing. And I'm like, what do you mean? They would pop up with pictures on a screen in certain quadrants, and it was super fast. Then you had to remember it and touch it in that order as quick as it popped up. And, they wanted depth perception. They wanted, they wanted reaction time. They wanted all this stuff. And I was like, my goodness, like that's not something that you think about, when you're thinking baseball draft. And so that was kind of cool. Then, you start getting calls like, hey, we're thinking about taking you in this round for this amount of money. And I'm like, sir, I will leave for a stick of gum. Like, to get, just to get the chance, you're thinking, I don't care what the money's like. I was 22 years old. I was old anyway for a draft. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. So the Pirates called, the Red Sox called, the Braves called, the Rockies called, and day 1 and 2 go by and no draft, which is the top 10 rounds, which I didn't expect to be in the top 10 rounds. That's a prestigious, that's that's big money. Like that year, the number one pick was Dansby Swanson, who's now the shortstop for the Braves. He signed for like $7 million. So once you get,
are you allowed to give us what were they offering you?
Yeah, I got offered $60,000 a year of school by multiple teams.
So when you heard that number, you were like, "Hell yeah!"
Oh yeah, absolutely. What they don't tell you at the beginning of that is it's severely taxed, like Jesus taxed.
Like, you're not getting that right away.
I got it. I think I got it in July. But so then, after the 10th round, slot value for each pick is $100,000. Like that's if they draft you, unless they want to dip into their bank or their savings for the draft, or if they can work it out where they take some away from somebody else and give it to you, the cap you're probably going to get about 100,000. So day 3 of the draft is the final day. That's rounds 11 through 30. And the first couple rounds go by, and me and my dad were sitting in our computer room and listening to it on the radio and just waiting. Usually they call you like, "Hey, we're going to take you this round." And
just sit there waiting.
Yeah, you just sit there waiting. And the 14th round came, and I hadn't heard anything, and I was sitting there, and all of a sudden it came up with the 420th pick, the Atlanta Braves select catcher Trey Keegan from Bowling Green State University. And so we got it was super excited. Like that was a really cool moment to share, especially with my dad. It was surreal. Like my whole body chills. I mean, just super excited. And it's something that you can't experience like elsewhere.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I was like, it probably didn't even feel real to you. It probably felt like,
no,
dude, I'm dreaming.
Super surreal. And about 30 minutes go by, and my phone rings, Atlanta number, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. So I answer it. They're like, hey, like, as I'm sure you're aware, we just selected you with this pick. Can you meet our regional guy tomorrow at some point? And I was like, sure. Where am I meeting him? What are we doing? And so I was in Sandusky at the time, and I met him at a Bob Evans in Toledo. He had all my paperwork. Me had all my paperwork, and we just sat down.
Pause. Think about that for a minute. That's where you were born.
Yeah.
And then that's where it happened for you. Your biggest day in Toledo.
I know. And the worst part about it is my dad went to Toledo University, being the arch rival of Bowling Green, where I went.
Now, did you plan that out, or it just happened that way?
It just happened that way. It was a crazy experience. And so all my friends that were home for the summer, we all met up at Daly's downtown, went out and had a couple beers. And funny enough, my now wife is from Pensacola, Florida, where we live now. Well, she was gone from school already, so she was back home in Pensacola. We were dating at the time, so it wasn't like we weren't living together, nothing like that. And so I'm out drinking with my friends, and she calls me up, and she goes, when you coming down here? And I was like, baby, I don't know. Like, I don't know when I have to leave. So the next day, when I met my guy at Bob Evans, he goes, I got a surprise for you. And I was like, well, that's cool. He gave me a pen with Atlanta Braves on it. And I was like, oh, that's a cool surprise. I was happy. And then he said, flip to the third page. And when I flipped to the third page, I had agreed to $60,000 a year of school. It was $100,000 in a year of school paid.
Wow.
I know. Like, and that was that's 40 extra thousand I had no idea about. Which, it was I was never rich growing up. I didn't know what $100,000 looked like.
Yeah, that's
So
what I was just about to ask you. I was like, what were you thinking? What was going through your head right then and there, knowing that, okay, this money's mine? Did you have ideas right away what you were gonna do with it? You had it already planned out.
trying to so the biggest thing that went through my head was don't blow this all. You know, be rational about this. And I was obviously, my family.
Hold on, go back just a little bit.
And
You're cut out. It's chopping real bad on.
blow it all in one place. For that, next day I go back to Bowling Green because it was trying to connect to. I think it was trying to connect to my Wi-Fi at home.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't catch any of that. What you just last said, it cut out. Like,
where did it cut out at?
Right as you was about to talk about, like, what was going through your mind about when she seen like this was all your money.
Oh yeah. So the biggest thing right away was, hey, don't blow this. Like, this needs to be there for your future. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, I don't have any student debt. I had zero student debt. I had a good scholarship at school, and I had some unfortunate inheritance from when my mom passed away. And so I was lucky enough to come out of school with no debt. And so I was just thinking, man, I can't blow this. Like, I need to invest it. I need to put it in savings, like keep it. I actually just ran out of that money the middle of last year.
Wow, that's it.
It was.
You were 22. See, that's what, 6, 7 years.
It was like 6, 7 years.
Okay.
And that money was spent mostly on down payments on a house for my family. I paid off part of my wife's student. I paid for her summer school, and a down payment on a car, and nothing crazy either. Like, I'm not. It's not like we're out here driving like $70,000 cars.
I don't think you could afford it with that.
Yeah, it was. I obviously I took some of it for myself and said, hey, like, this is gonna be some play money, but I at that point it's been earned. But so day after that, I signed. I went back to Bowling Green. I went back to my apartment, and I'm sitting there, and I get a call like midway through the day. They're like, hey, your plane ticket's been bought. Pack your stuff. 2 days from now, you're going to be in Orlando for spring training.
What?
Literally 2 days. I mean, I had a 2-day turnaround where I had to pack my stuff and be on a plane. And, I had a beard at the time, and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, all of our minor leaguers are clean shaven.
I was like, face.
I was like, oh no, I was just sad. I was like, it took me a long time to grow this. Like, I don't grow facial hair. Like, this is like 2 weeks probably. Like, I just don't grow. I spent time growing that, and
beard, man, I gotta let it go now.
I know, it was sad. But so I fly down there, and they pay you $1,000 a month to play. A month. After taxes, like I think it's like $440 a paycheck. We played 72 games in 75 days through that summer, living in hotels in the raunchiest places. Like, the most memorable one is in West Virginia. It was the Tampa Bay Rays minor league team. Our hotel was next to a Cracker Barrel and a strip club in the mountains.
So you made the most of it, right?
Not a single time did I go into any of those places.
Sure.
Gross. But all the minor league experience, everybody's like, oh yeah, you're a pro. I'm sure it was great. I'm sure it's awesome. And the experience itself and the idea of it, absolutely great. Love the play, love all that stuff. But the grind of it is a whole different story. I mean, you're sleeping a couple hours at a time, trying to ride on buses for 5 hours between games. You're not making any money really. You're working nonstop, and your body takes a toll on your body.
Oh yeah, I can imagine you were probably wore out, burned out.
Yeah. And that was after, and all of us had just played a college season too. So realistically, we played 100 something games that year for the first time ever in our lives. So
And
then,
it took a toll
yeah,
on you.
it took a big toll. So then, I came home that day. The day I left, I came back to Bowling Green. My wife was still a senior there, and I proposed that day. That's the day we ended up getting engaged. Um,
All right,
she had a whole,
hold on.
she had a whole,
Let's talk about this. How was that?
the most nerve wracking thing of my entire life,
Were you sweating bullets the whole day? Just
big time. Because I ended up kneeling in a puddle. Just a terrible, terrible placement puddle.
did you? You just not? You didn't see it?
No, I had no idea. I mean, it was dark. We just went to a restaurant. We had eaten a good meal, and I was trying to work the nerve up to do it. And when I worked the nerve up, I'd right in a puddle. So
Well,
that was
like for me when I proposed, I just it was all in my head. I was just thinking all these different scenarios, so I could only imagine how you was feeling.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm sitting there like, well, she has an idea, but what if she still says no? And like, I could look like a complete idiot. And it was just, oh my gosh, what a nerve wracking experience that is.
Well, for me,
So
it was like I already had I booked us a room for the weekend. We were in Amish country, and I was like, okay, this is how it's gonna go. I have it all planned out. But then that what if popped in my head. I was like, what if she says no? Then it's
yep,
awkward. Then it's an awkward weekend.
yeah. Now the rest of the week we're awkward. Like we're going home. I mean, but me and this horse and buggy are gone.
Yeah, we're gone. And then
Yeah.
that was another thing that was playing out in my head. Do you stay with the person afterwards, or how do you handle it there?
Yeah, I mean that's something that you guys would have to really figure out. Like, I guess it would be kind of the way she says no or the reason she says no. Because if she says, "Hey, it's still you and me. I'm just not ready for that yet." I mean, if you guys are planning on spending the rest of your life together, really, what's the rush?
Exactly.
And if that's how you feel about that person, I guess it really just depends on the why and the how the no comes.
It'd still be an awkward weekend though.
Oh, it would be a super awkward weekend.
Like,
Unbelievable.
no.
Yeah. So yeah, that first year in pro ball was definitely an experience. So I went back in the fall for like an
Hold on,
extended fall.
wait a minute, wait a minute.
I'm trying to get off the awkwardness of that proposal, but
I know you're trying to run away from it. So you kneeled into the puddle.
yeah,
And
and I had to mutter it because I couldn't get it out. I basically just had to straight up say it. I couldn't even get like "you're the world to me," like this is what I've always wanted. I couldn't even get any of that out. It literally was just like, "Will you marry me?"
that
And it was super.
for me, that was like the best feeling. I had it all what I was gonna say to her, and before I can even say the words, she was like, "Yes, yes, yes, I will."
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah."
You're like, yes, I don't have to try so hard.
I don't want to do it so hard. I got this, man.
Yeah.
No awkward
Yeah.
weekend.
Yes, absolutely. So, we went back to our apartments, and there was an engagement party waiting on us with a picture of us on a cookie cake.
Oh, so you had it all planned out like
I
that,
did.
or
I got with some of her teammates trying to figure out, you know, what would be a good way to do it because they knew her just as well. And they had the next night we had they had a picture of us on a cake, and it was a big congratulations party, and we had a great old time. And
I mean,
yeah, it was
that's an
because she had
awesome feeling, though.
a whole nother season to play because she played softball at Bowling Green.
Now, as you go into your spring training, now we could talk about that and talk
Yeah.
about just how being engaged, and was it harder because you were training and you guys weren't able
So
to see each other as much?
yeah, absolutely. So I actually got hurt in the fall at a month long training with them and had to go back in January to rehab. So I was actually gone an extra month and a half, being away from her. And it was, it's every day having a FaceTime, having a call, like text when you can, because if I wasn't playing a game or training, she was at practice or in a game or in class because she was still in school. And, it was a rough experience, trying to trying to balance the life, I was in Orlando and she was in Bowling Green, Ohio. So,
I can only imagine, man. It's like,
yeah. And then I had to leave straight from there and went back to Virginia. So I think we saw each other maybe a total of 10 days from January until almost September.
And it was all FaceTime and all that.
It was all FaceTime and all phone calls and all texts, and so our first real like year or so together, like after everything, was virtual almost. And so then I finished playing that second season and moved to Florida with her, and I lost that battle. She hates the cold. I lost that battle. So now I live down here where it's 85 degrees right now.
Hey, I'll trade you weather.
No, I'm good.
You can have a 40 degrees day.
I like being able to play golf all year. It's just hot.
Now, question for you: is the weather is it going back and forth down there, or is it staying like in the same?
What do you mean?
Like here, okay, Saturday and Sunday here, it was about 85. And now Monday, Tuesday, it's dropped down to the 40s.
Oh yeah. This winter was wild. Like it was like 75 one day and then 29 at night. And you're like, how, and people get sick, and the people wonder why you get sick. It's like, because the weather's, like that. And the worst part about this winter is once I quit playing baseball, or once I got released in December of 2016, that was the month after our wedding. She was pregnant. I was like, I got to get a big boy job. So I ended up getting hired as a deputy sheriff here.
Wow, how did that play out? You went straight to sheriff, or were you did like?
Oh no, I was
academy and all that.
Yeah, 6 months of training at the academy, and then I was on the road for 5 years. So from the end of 16, beginning of 17, until February of this year, I was a deputy sheriff. I actually just quit. So I spent 5 years doing that, and I've seen the worst of humanity and the best of humanity, and all the stresses that come along with that, working nights.
All right, for the paranormal people that like to watch this, have you run into any cases like that, ghost-wise, while you was on duty?
Ghost-wise, and it's funny because I work nights. So the biggest thing that scared me was when you were in a house, especially when you were looking for someone, you would hear stuff that wasn't there. And that's a fact. No, you really would do it. And that whether it be your mind playing tricks, or whether it really be, something, and I hate, I don't like to talk about the dearly departed, but we worked, we had to work deaths. So you were in a house sometimes by yourself with someone who had passed away for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And every sound you hear, everything that moves, you're kind of on edge about it.
I could imagine.
So, and then all of a sudden family finds out, they come over, and then it's a whole big thing. But we live down here in Pensacola is actually like the third highest crime rate in the state. And you wouldn't think it, the county's only got 350,000 people in it. But I think last year we had 50 homicides.
Wow.
So, yeah, and the way things are going in the world, I love the job. I love being able to help people. I love the thrill, the adrenaline. Like, I've always been, an excitement person, between sports and hobbies and work. Like, I've always been that way. And it got to the point where it wasn't worth it to my family for me being gone those hours. The money wasn't right. The danger wasn't right. So I ended up finding a better job. I'm a national account manager now for a lumber distribution center. So,
whoa, how does that feel, man? Just finally, you're pretty much you're settling now. You're settling down. You're not in sports. You're not doing. The adrenaline rush is finally.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, the day I quit, the day I turned in all my stuff, a huge pressure was released. My stress wasn't there anymore. Like, I knew I was going to be home with my family Monday through Sunday now. There was days I wouldn't see my wife and kids for 4 days at a time because of how our schedules worked out. And, it's not healthy. The sleep schedule wasn't healthy. The eating wasn't healthy. And it was just a huge stress relief. Now, the adrenaline part, yeah, I still miss it sometimes. I coach baseball still, so that kind of helps. But nothing will ever compare to the feeling of being able to really get out there and do it.
Okay, let's go back just a little bit and talk about just your adjustment from, now your baseball career is over.
Yep.
And now you're going into a different career, into the police academy. How was that? The adjustment to that?
It was tough. I was still a free agent at the time, and I was still healthy enough to play. And my wife encouraged me to play. She goes, "Hey, like, I can live with my parents. You need to go out and do what you want to do." And looking back on it, I don't regret it. I told my agent, I said, "Hey," I was like, I appreciate it, but I'm going to go out and get a big boy job and, get good benefits for my kids and, stuff like that. And the transition was tough because you're used to doing something every day for so long and, getting up and going to the gym, trying to eat better, not great, better, but, staying in shape for a purpose instead of just staying in shape just cause. And I think that was one of the biggest transition issues I had was kind of the motivation afterwards. The police academy was, contrary to popular belief, it's actually mostly common sense. Like, if someone breaks into your house, it's illegal. Like, duh. It's seriously, like, you would think it'd be a little harder than that. It's really not. The biggest part about the police academy is just staying mentally strong through the the high pressure, like adrenaline situations, like the defensive tactics, the shoot houses, the things like that. That's the hard part of the academy, because you have to make a decision about life and death on somebody else or take away their freedom in a matter of seconds. And that's a really hard thing for people to do. And yes, absolutely 100% bad cops. There are 100%. Coming from an ex-cop, I will tell you personally, there are bad cops out there that will make everybody else look just absolutely terrible. And I don't know if it's because they joined the force for the wrong reason or if something happened to them where they were raised that way. I don't know. But nothing in the academy makes somebody be a bad cop. And that was a really hard adjustment for me because I've seen nothing. My dad's a cop. I've seen nothing but how he is, and he's good to everybody. It doesn't matter what they got going on in life. So that's why it was so hard for me to see the opposite end of that spectrum where somebody just hates everybody for no reason.
Well, yeah, you answered my question. Like, what got you into becoming a cop? What made you decide on that career?
So funny thing about that, my dad told me every single day of my life to never be a cop.
Never be a cop. Come on.
Never do it. And what does the hard-headed, stubborn son do? Exactly what dad told me.
And that's the truth. That's the truth for everything, though. It's like the dad always tells you, don't do it. Don't do this, son. But what do? We do it anyway.
Exactly what he told us not to do. And he's like, from experience, I told you not to do it, and you still didn't. So, but, he was happy to see me get out and kind of move on with my life. And living so far away from my family now, I only get to see them, I don't know, probably twice a year because they live in Ohio still and I live down in Florida. But,
I was thinking too, like, could you imagine, okay, you're a cop down in Florida. Imagine being in your hometown. What that would have been like.
No, absolutely not. And the crazy part, I've talked to somebody about that before. I knew way too many people in Sandusky, and way too many people know my dad and me and my mom and my grandparents. And it's like, because I would just, I would be out somewhere in Sandusky and they'd be like, "Aren't you Troy's boy? Aren't you Michelle? Aren't you Michelle's kid?" I'm like, "Yes, that is what I will forever be known as, Troy Michelle's kid," like to the adults. So yeah, I couldn't do that because you have to make those decisions, and then it gets held personally against you if you know them. And
yeah, that was something I always thought about too. I was like, dude, I don't think I could ever be a cop in Sandusky because of that reason, because I know everybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you pull the wrong person over that you had beef with in high school, and all of a sudden they see you in a power position, and it's game on. Or vice versa, it's someone that you've always been cool with, and then they just did something absolutely terrible, and you have to make this arrest. Like, you have to.
Like, come on, man, let me off the hook. Like, nah, man,
right?
I can't.
It's that. That's why I could never do that in somewhere where I know so many people. I would hate to ruin someone's life over that anyway.
So, yeah, and your luck would probably be Brady too.
He lives in DC now.
Dude, get Brady, man. Like, come on, man, really?
Yeah, that'd be my luck for sure.
Talk about like your first experience, your first time on duty, if you can remember that.
Oh man, my very first day on duty was, I broke my watch. I'll never forget it. Me and my training officer conducted a traffic stop on this girl, and she was acting a little off. She was paying attention to other things than what we were asking her. She wouldn't get, like, she was in the car. We were asking her for stuff. She wouldn't open the center console where her license was to get it. Well, our K9 showed up. And when a K9 shows up in Florida, we have the right to ask the driver to step out of the vehicle. She refused the order twice. And then my training officer said, he goes, "Hey, this is who I am." And he said it just like this. He goes, "Ma'am, I am Deputy so-and-so with the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. Per Florida state statute, I have the legal right to ask you to step out of your vehicle. And I'm asking you politely, will you please step out of your vehicle?" She refused. So she got yanked out of the vehicle at that point because it was about the fourth time she wasn't getting out, and it turned into a bit of a scuffle. And she donkey kicked one of our deputies in his junk so hard that he almost threw up.
Wow.
I will never forget how hard I was laughing while trying to wrestle this woman on the ground and breaking my watch.
What was he like? Was he dazed?
I mean, he stepped back, and like, one of the other deputies on scene actually had to grab him because he was so mad. I don't think he would have done anything like over the top, but like, imagine getting kicked so hard in your stuff because someone just doesn't want to listen to orders.
Yeah, they don't want to reply to you.
Right. And, I get it. She ended up having a small amount of marijuana in the car, which was like no biggie. If she would have cooperated, we probably would have just like confiscated it because it wasn't even that much. Like, seriously, like that's how silly it was. But yeah, I'll never forget. I had a couple other situations that I don't think I'm legally allowed to talk about. The one still. That was a stress on my life, though. We got body cams recently at the sheriff's office, and that really, like, going back and watching your own body cam is a very, very good indication of like what you were feeling in that moment. I had one where a guy ran and locked himself into a room with a gun in his waistband, and you could hear it in my voice, like how amped up you get and how quick it happens. Like, trying to find cover behind something that's not going to, let a bullet go through it and you. Trying to find good angles where you can see people and protect the other people in the house. Like, it's just an experience that you don't get to share very often.
Well, I'm thinking like too, at the same time as you're talking about it, like your adrenaline was probably through the roof, and at the same time you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen, man. What's gonna play out here?
Yeah,
this dude's.
Well, you gotta remember in that moment, like, to breathe, you have to get on the radio and let people know what's going on in a calm manner instead of like squirreling out and yelling because they won't understand you. Like, you have to be like, "Hey," like, it's like, yeah, it's like, where are you at? Like you have to, be calm enough so you can explain it to everybody else so they can come help you. And it's just, that goes back to the training I'm talking about, of the adrenaline and the hyped up and how everything gets going so quick.
So now, was there ever a time where you kind of felt like your life was like, did you feel like that all the time, or did you ever feel like where you felt like it could possibly be over, like you were?
So thankfully enough, I never really got into a situation that bad where I thought I was gonna, I wasn't gonna win. I did have a couple that ended up in a fight over a gun, which is never a good thing. And I was very lucky to never let it get to either have help there that, was able to see it or recognize it just as quick as I was so we could take care of it, or that person truly didn't have the intention of wanting to hurt me. They just didn't want to go to jail. And I was really lucky in that sense, to even some of the bigger guys that, I could have had some serious problems with, like, were very, not cooperative, but they didn't want to hurt me more than they didn't want to go to jail. So I was fortunate in that situation, because a lot of cops aren't.
You were blessed, man.
I was. Every day I was excited. I was, counting my lucky stars.
Now that I imagine were you close in your faith during that time period? Were you like, just thank you, Lord, every night?
Oh yeah, you have to at that point, even if you're not a religious person. You have to thank your lucky star somewhere. Someone's watching you.
Yeah, just to be able to make it through the day. And you did it for, you said, how long did you do it?
5 years.
5 years. And now, as you step away from that and you're in your new career now, how does it feel now?
Oh man, I'm Monday through Friday. Right now I'm at a desk for 8 hours, which it's not my favorite, but it's not the worst. But in June, I'll be traveling 3 days a week, going out to Home Depot and Lowe's and managing their accounts and making sure that, all their inventory is right, that they're, who they're calling is us. Just the people person.
Yeah, I'm just thinking too at the same time. You're going from baseball, being a cop, and now you're sitting at a desk. I mean, that's gonna be driving you nuts.
It does. Well, even being the police, at least I was out doing stuff every day.
Yeah, you were active, but now you're just kind of
now it's like, so I guess the big saving grace at this new job is I get an hour lunch and I go to the gym every day.
Yeah. You lost all that weight from the hot dogs and the fruit punch.
I was able to lose a little bit of it, thank God. But
now, here's a real question: do you plan on growing that beard back out now?
My wife won't let me.
No, she said no beard.
She hates it. She like, this is long. Like this, I have to shave this.
Really? She's not allowing it. She's like, nope.
She said it's scratchy. She don't like it. My kids don't like it because I rub it on them. They don't. So yeah, no, I'm actually probably gonna shave tonight.
But you have to, or she's gonna beat you.
Yeah. Happy life, man.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Do you have anything else to share?
No, not really, man. I appreciate the opportunity to get out here, and the biggest takeaway, that if anybody is listening to this and is going through anything remotely close to, what I went through, and if they're having problems with it, my inbox is always open, and I'm more than happy to talk about it, any of it. It doesn't matter what it is. My family life it's not a secret. There's no reason for it to be a secret. Like we're very open. I'm very open. And I really I know what mental health is like, and I really want people to be able to reach out and talk to somebody. So if it has to be me, then please, my inbox is always open.
And how can I get a hold of you?
Either Facebook, Trey Keegan. It's a picture of me and my kids, or Instagram is Keegs all around. you can message me, and I'm very active on social media.
Before we wrap this thing up,
Yeah, for sure.
let's go on to like a question like this. Say somebody is sitting there right now watching this, listening, that was like you, played baseball their whole life, and now they come across that injury that is pretty much taking them out the game. What is your advice to that person?
If you can't play anymore, give back, whether it be to kids or to anyone, the knowledge that you have. Don't be bitter about it, because in the long run, you can still help out so many people with it. You did it for so long for a reason, that just because you got hurt doesn't mean that you can't help somebody accomplish their goals of what you wanted to do when you were a kid.
I hope whoever's watching this wrote that down. All right, as now the final questions.
All right.
Question number 1: if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Rome.
Rome?
Yep, Rome. Rome's culture, the empire has always fascinated me. The Colosseum is like top tier bucket list of all time for me. I want to see it so bad. I took Latin in high school just because of it.
Go visit there, and you better have pictures someday.
I'm open though.
All right. Well, that was pretty easy. Question number 2: cats or dogs?
Oh goodness. So I'm a dog person. I would love to have a dog. My 4-year-old almost got bit by a dog in the face about 1.5 years ago, and is terrified of them. So we're cat people. We're actually getting ready to adopt 2 cats.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm a cat dad too. I love to have a dog, but I'm a cat dad right now.
That's literally.
All right. Question number 3: what should we expect from you in the future? What's your goals?
I dream big. I want to be a Power 5 college coach of either baseball or softball. That's something that I will never give up trying to do.
Do you plan on writing a book in the future about just all your adventures and this life and baseball itself?
Maybe when I'm older and have a little more life experience and can really put it all into perspective. Right now, it's just, it is what it is. Right now, it doesn't feel like it's been all that crazy to me.
No.
But maybe.
Look forward to it. But anyway, I just want to say thank you for coming on, man, and just sharing your story and just telling us.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, Chris.
I know without a doubt somebody who was watching or listening right now was touched and moved by your story.
I hope so.
Like you said, if you want to reach out to him, you just can connect to him on Facebook. And then you have anywhere else that they can, just Facebook or
Instagram, Keegs all around, KEGS all around. It's a pun off kegs.
All right. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for listening. And then this is an open platform for everybody. So if you want to share your story sometime, feel free to message me. But this is Chris. I'm out. Peace.